Week 7 DFS. I'm excited as I've been struggling a little in my fantasy league, so I'm ready to jump into hopefully have a good DFS weekend. We have a couple of free contests going this weekend. Check the description for the links. And let's use this discussion so that I can figure out what I should be doing this weekend. How did I do last week?
Yeah, well, welcome back, Quentin. So we've suffered through a couple weeks with you. We're making money, but we're not making a lot of money. So we turned our $3 into $5 again last week. We did a little bit better the week before that, but this past week, you really, really needed to have Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin. And our initial lineup didn't. I did do another lineup that did have them, but then I was missing a bunch of other parts. It did a little bit better. I think my $3 became $8 in that one. So anyhow, let's look a little bit at what did go right. And that top stack of Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin here for 60, almost 65 points there was the one to have. We had gone with Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, and they didn't quite get it done. They were good, which is why we ended up with money, but they weren't that great. It was interesting to note again in this winning lineup over here that won the $80,000 that they had um, Bucky Irving, and we also had Bucky Irving, and you could have had a even better lineup if you'd played Sean Tucker, which we didn't do, and he was worth 35.7 points, but no one really saw that coming. He would have even been cheaper than Bucky Irving or one of these other running backs. So, and then in our lineup, Tucker Kraft let us down really big last week at 2.5 points. So we'll have to decide, do we go back to Kraft this week or do we bail and maybe play the Brock Bowers, who's going to get all the targets again?
It was a weird kind of winning lineup. It looks kind of like an amalgamation of both the Washington Baltimore game, kind of having the key aspects of that one, but also just going extremely heavy on the Tampa Bay side. I think I was fortunate to be gone last week. I don't think my lineups would have looked like that at all. So I think I was spared last week of not playing.
That's
You didn't
funny. Yeah.
expect the 51 points that Tampa Bay scored?
No, I can't say I did, but Chris Godwin in that new role with the new offensive coordinator this year has looked great, and he's been impressive all season. So I wonder if we'll see that continue. That might not be his last 30-point game of the season.
Yeah, it might not. They're fun to watch. They might get another one this week. And let's run through the games real quick and see which ones we like. Actually, I don't think that game is on the slate, so we're not going to be able to choose it. I think that's Monday night's game where we get the Ravens and Tampa Bay. So luckily, we don't have to make that decision today. So let's see the games that we are choosing from on the slate. And let's go ahead and bring up, I guess I can just stay there. Anyhow, we're going to kick it off with the Seahawks and Atlanta. Seems like a high total for these two teams for me at 51 points. And I feel like Bijan had a good game last week, and I can't go to him 2 games in a row. How you guys feeling on this game?
So starting with the things I like about this game is both are top 10 offenses and both have a relatively high pace of play. So they want to have consistent drives, and they're averaging quicker plays. So overall, more plays, they've been efficient offense. I kind of see why the point total's sitting at 51. And there's a lot of key pieces, especially on FanDuel, that I think are slightly undervalued. I don't think I'm going to be going too much on the running back side, but good for tournament plays and a lot of dart throws that you can take in this game. What about you, Lauren?
I like this game. I don't know if I would pick it for stacking. I like parts of it, and I worry that Gino's going to throw a couple more interceptions than I would like to make him worth picking up for quarterback in this one.
So the last 3 games for the Falcons, they have hit the over, and total points have been 50 to 66 points. Seattle has also hit the over the last 3 games, scoring 49 to 71. So we're going to count on both of them doing it again together. I feel like this game ends in a dud.
Personally,
Not my favorite.
I like the pass catchers the best out of this game for the Atlanta side. Really hasn't stopped any of the main wide receivers they've gone against. We've seen Kirk Cousins kind of find his favorite targets in the new system and kind of get Drake London has been getting more involved the past few weeks, he's been seeing a consistent high amount of targets. So I really don't mind his price at 7,500. He's just going to get consistent use, and Seattle really hasn't stopped anyone all season.
All right, well, let's keep it going. How about Carolina at Washington? This is one of my favorite games, 51-point total. But, my Jaden Daniels jersey is going to be here tomorrow, and I love going to Jaden Daniels and playing him anywhere I can. And now you add in that they're playing the Panthers, and I like it even more, but I like pretty much every part of this game. I like Andy Dalton going kind of crazy and throwing a lot as well. And if Deontay Johnson can't play, he has an injury tag right now. If he can't play, I like Xavier Legette even more.
I am completely in agreement. I think this might be one of the games where we don't see any punts. The punters just get a day off. Neither of these defenses are impressive. And I think, especially since Dalton has kind of taken the reins in Carolina, they've looked a lot more adept at and being able to sustain drives. The Deontay Johnson situation is going to be something to monitor, but Dalton has just been hyper focusing his number one guy, typically Johnson. So if he's not in there, I'm really playing whichever he's his number one read. So if Deontay Johnson's not playing, going next man up to Legette, and I think Chuba would also get a slight bump.
Yeah, and equally on the Commanders side, we saw Brian Robinson not play last week, and he still is limited in practice. If he's out again, then I like Austin Eckler. If Austin Eckler is going to get all the touches in this game, then I like him a whole lot. If we can eliminate one of those running backs, if they're both playing, it gets a little bit muddier and we can decide what we want to do there. But this is definitely one. The Daniels stack is getting a little pricey. Daniels and McLaurin at 7,200. You could bring in Ertz and save some money there if we wanted to, but we'll see what else we've got. Let's keep this whole game situation. The Dalton and Legette one is only 13,200. So it's definitely a possibility there, especially if you can bring it back with the Commanders running backs.
Yeah, I think one weird aspect is I love the over under. I love the quarterbacks in this. And then I kind of have a difficult time with the pass catchers. I like McLaurin, but with the injury for Johnson, none of the Carolina rookies really stepping up completely yet. Legette has had some flashes, but he's been very inconsistent. And then who's the other person, the other receiver that you're going to need to have in this game? Are we going to get one of the other Washington receivers involved? Are we going to get some Diami Brown or
Noah
McCaffrey?
Brown? Yeah, they've got a long list of other wide receivers that can get involved, and I have a feeling that we probably going to skip them. I think we're going to have better options.
What about Detroit at Minnesota? Both of these teams have had some strong players the season to date, but they're going against each other now. This is supposed to be 50.5 over under. Looks to be another good game. Anyone you want to pick up here?
So only one Vikings game has been over 41 total points, and that was the Green Bay game. I could compare Detroit being to Green Bay, and this does get up there eventually. I also feel like this is one of those games where not a lot could happen that first half. And we could see, a really low score going into half, and then they kind of break it open and figure some things out. Both of these teams are great against stopping the run. So they're going to take away, the Vikings are definitely going to take away what Detroit likes to do in running David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And they're going to have to pass. That makes it interesting. To me, this becomes Amon-Ra St. Brown against Justin Jefferson and who wins in their respective matchups.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to come down to how stubborn is Detroit going to be. So Detroit loves to run the football, but Minnesota has a really good defense. And I actually really like Goff. If he's allowed to throw a little bit more, I think he could be a great play. He's one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz, and Minnesota tends to blitz more than any other team in the NFL. So something to watch out for if he's actually allowed to open it up and they're not just trying to use their dual threat running backs, then I think he could have a great game and you could get multiple pieces of Amon-Ra, Laporta, or Jameson coming through.
Yeah, I think so too.
Some of
It's
these are
definitely,
some of these are on the expensive side. Do you think they're going to be worth it?
they have the potential to be worth it. I don't know. It's still not my favorite play. If I'm only playing one lineup, this probably isn't it.
Yeah, I think I'd like to do almost 2 complementary lineups for this one. One taking basically calling which is going to be the true number 1 wide receiver to have from this game and having Justin Jefferson in one, and then pairing him with Jamison Williams. And then another lineup with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then pairing him with Addison.
Yeah, I like that. I do like that. All right, keep it on the list. Houston at Green Bay. This one I do like a little bit more. Mixon's going against a good run defense. We saw Joe Mixon come back last week and have a really good game, but now he's going up against a really good run defense with the Packers. So Houston's also going to need to pass more if they're going to win this game. They can't just run Mixon. Then on the Green Bay side, we've got to decide who the wide receivers are that are going to be in play. If we can eliminate 2 of them, if Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks don't play, then I really like Romeo Doubs and particularly Christian Watson. I feel like Christian Watson has to have a good day for the Packers to win this game. They need that big down the field play or they don't win.
Yeah, this one is definitely, if I had a magic 8 ball and could see the future on one game, this is the toss-up game that I'd like to know how it goes. Can see both the big plays coming through for both sides. I mean, Tank Dell, Christian Watson are extremely great, like downfield threats. But I can also just see them being stubborn and giving Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon a lot more work than any viewer wants to see this game hitting the under, and both teams just trying to keep it tight the entire game. I don't mind Mixon as a play just because I think his workload's going to be there. The team was comfortable enough to trade away Cam Akers this week. So they just have Dameon Pierce back there backing him up, and they thought that was good enough. So I think he is going to have a comfortable workload for his price, but this one could go other way.
I don't know what his price is. We'll have to look at that. I do really like Dalton Schultz to step in here. And I feel like this is going to be a difficult game. And a lot of times when we have those difficult games, we see the tight ends get a little bit more play. And already being down a wide receiver, I like Dalton Schultz to come in. Last year, we saw a lot of Dalton Schultz, and I don't feel like we've seen that so far this year. And so sitting at 5,200, he's probably one of my favorite tight ends to play this week.
Yeah.
Would you go back to Tucker Kraft?
Yeah, I'll go back to Tucker Kraft as well. I just like the game situation where it is a more difficult matchup and it is a big game for them.
I think there's a lot of players we've seen potential in the past in this game that haven't come through this season, like Tank Dell and Christian Watson and Dalton Schultz, that one of them seems due their game.
I don't like the price tag of Stephon Diggs, though. Diggs has gotten up there at 8,600, and I'd much prefer Tank Dell at 7,000.
Yeah,
so we'll see what we can make work there.
Kansas City at San Francisco. Anyone there do you like this game? Anyone there you'd want to pick up or think about?
We got the Super Bowl
we don't like
rematch,
that game. Cool. I'm just going to move us on then.
We do have the Super Bowl rematch, and we're not interested.
Yeah, we had the best game, the best Super Bowl we'd ever seen last year, and suddenly a few weeks into the season, and let's just go watch the Vikings play.
Yeah, I can't say there's any part of this game that I want in DFS.
I think the one name I'll throw out there that I'm interested in is Xavier Worthy. The Chiefs are coming off the bye. Last year, after their bye, they started significantly working in Rashee Rice a little bit more. It just takes a little bit of time for rookies to get acclimated in that system. After the bye week, sometimes we see changes, and especially with the injury to Rice and them rolling out Hollywood Brown for the season, they need someone to step up in that wide receiver room. I don't think...
And that's Juju.
I cannot believe that it's Juju. So I think
That's Juju.
Juju could be
right.
worth this price if you just want some target volume.
It's not a bad play, but the other ones I'll stay away
Continuing
from.
on other games that probably may have no one else, the Las Vegas Raiders at the LA Rams.
We get Cooper Kupp back, maybe, it looks like.
Fingers crossed.
I think I'll just, Kyron Williams is pretty much a locked in any lineup of mine. He's about the only one, but he is going to get the ball 100 times and just run.
Yeah, I am definitely in agreement with that. I think the only thing else I would add is potentially Brock Bowers if you want to pay up for tight end. You got Devontae Adams out. Who else are
Yep.
they going to throw to? They got Trey Tucker and Jacoby Myers. So
Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell also really liked targeting the tight end position in college. So something to monitor. We'll see his usage with the new quarterback there.
Maybe when we start, we just put in Kyron Williams and Brock Bowers and see what else we can make happen around the two of them.
I think that's a great base. Yeah.
We may, everyone may have that plan, but we'll see.
Miami. Are you going to be looking at Tyreek Hill this week, maybe?
I do like Tyreek Hill. I'm going to just admit it that I like all the Dolphins players minus the quarterback this week.
But I think that's the issue I'm having. This offense has just looked so bad since Tua's been gone.
But they are coming off their bye. You were just saying sometimes they figure things out when they're on bye, and they're coming off their bye. So hopefully they reworked a lot of the plays and figured out how they're going to get Tyreek Hill the ball.
Yeah, and the Colts defense can't tackle. So if they get them the ball, then chances are they'll be able to do something with it.
And Tyreek Hill is down to 7,900. At 7,900, he's too good a player to kind of pass on. So he's definitely one that I want to keep in mind for playing. I also like Mostert at 6,300. How about on the Colts side? I'm going no on the Colts side. I don't like the Anthony Richardson play coming back. If he comes back, they keep telling us he's coming back, and then all of a sudden we have another Joe Flacco week, and that's the only time I tend to get interested on the Colts side in DFS is if Flacco's in.
So I think I'm interested in Jonathan Taylor. He should be healthy. He was questionable late last week going into the game, and then he was ruled out. But as long as he's healthy and something to monitor for the Thursday practice reports, that if he was a full participant going into this game, that if Miami does not look like they have it figured out with their backup quarterback, it's been what we've been seeing the past couple weeks, and Jonathan Taylor's just given 20 carries to run the clock out, then I think he's a talented enough back that he would do great with a good workload.
I'm a little concerned that neither Taylor nor Trey Sermon play in this game. They're both questionable, and I actually did not think that Jonathan Taylor would be in this week. I was pretty sure he wasn't. And then I was questionable on Trey Sermon, which brings in Tyler Goodson, and he's got to be cheap, and he's going against the Dolphins, so I like him at that price.
Yeah, I mean,
if both of them are out.
For a cheap play, especially if you want to pay up for wide receivers, that's kind of when I've been building lineups. The top end wide receivers are really tempting. So being able to save some money and get a starting running back wouldn't hurt.
Speaking of starting running backs, Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants. You picking up Saquon Barkley?
I kind of love this game. I think the Giants win it too.
Okay, the Giants win it. I was going to say, yeah, you didn't have to suffer through the Eagles and Browns last week. That was a really bad game, and we all thought that the
Nick
Eagles
Sirianni chirping his own fans after the game.
No, yeah, that was bad. I don't know that I want to pay up for Barkley. So you like this game. I only like the Giants if Neighbors plays.
Yes, I am assuming Neighbors plays. I saw he was progressing well, and I think if he's back, he will dominate.
I agree with that, but I think Barkley runs angry in this matchup, which is the only reason I want to take a chance on him.
Yeah, I think this could be almost similar to the stack we saw, or like part of the winning lineup we saw from last week, where we had Derrick Henry and we had McLaurin on the other side. So this
Yeah.
could be just one of those running back wide receivers in a scoring game, but they're getting all the work.
So moving us a little quicker through these last couple of ones because we're getting to some low-scoring games. I'm just going to ignore Cleveland and say you picking up for anyone from Cincinnati.
I'm not
No.
in love with this game. I don't
They
like it
haven't-
at all.
They haven't been impressive enough to think they're going to take advantage of this matchup. It's
And I'm
Yeah.
guessing their prices haven't come down either for like Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase.
No, they're both expensive still. I don't like this. I don't know what it is, but you get Cleveland on the field and bad things happen to everybody.
Yeah, they're around Watson. The only hope is, can we see a bright spot for Cleveland with Chubb returning? I want to watch that just for rooting for him as a player.
I agree. But that's it. Maybe he'll return and they'll trade him too. Get him out of there.
Get the fire sale going.
Yeah.
Oh my
There you
gosh.
go.
Well, in similar struggling teams, Tennessee is going to Buffalo, picking up anyone from Buffalo or Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard.
I like Tony Pollard. It's weird to like a Titan, but he's just going to get everything, especially with Tajay Spears hurt. The only other one is James Cook is out again. Then Ray Davis looked pretty impressive, and he did well with his carries and workload. So if you can get a backup running back that impressed last week, then I think he'd be a good value. But other than that, I'm staying away from everyone.
Is
Yeah, I
Amari
agree.
Cooper too quick of a turnaround?
I think
Expecting too much for someone traded just this past week?
Yeah, we might say that on this game and Amari Cooper, but let's go on to the next game because we've got the Sunday night game on the FanDuel slates and we get the Jets at Pittsburgh. Now we get Devontae Adams. But this one's a reunion. The one with, Josh Allen and Amari Cooper is brand new. So now we get the reunion match with Devontae Adams. I don't know about y'all, but I just think Aaron Rodgers is going to throw every pass to Devontae Adams and try to make himself right.
I agree, but I don't like their prices still. I think maybe like a touchdown bet for Devontae Adams, I would like to sprinkle in because I can definitely see them getting inside the 10-yard line and then Rodgers just giving him 3 straight red zone targets.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, I probably don't like the price tags. I didn't look. The only one that I do kind of want to pay up for is Pittsburgh's lost their mind and they've decided to start Russell Wilson and bench, Justin Fields. We're 4-2, we're winning, things are going good. Yeah, let's bench our quarterback. That's always a great plan. And now we got Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson is good for 2 to 3 turnovers for sure.
Especially against the Jets defense. That's a tough assignment to come back against.
Yeah, I wonder what the over-under is on Russell Wilson even finishing this game.
I was surprised too that they started him over Fields.
I don't get it. All right, so shall we take some of our thoughts and go see what we can do? And we already
Yeah.
said that we were going to start by locking in Kyron Williams and Brock Bowers and seeing if we can work around that. You want me to put the Jets defense in there too?
I got a couple defense options. I think we'll see
All
how
right.
much money we got to play with.
Okay. Sounds fair enough.
So recapping kind of our conversation then, we were talking possible stacks of like Dalton-Legette, Daniels, and McLaurin maybe, but it was a bit expensive. Maybe a Stroud-Diggs stack or a Stroud-Dell stack.
So far, I don't know about y'all's lineups, but I really haven't been able to afford Daniels in anywhere, even though I like him and I think he's a great play. I mean, 9,100 is just so expensive. And I think the cheaper quarterbacks, I really like Sam Darnold or Jared Goff. They're about the same price range, 78 and 75. And it's kind of just been made easier to work with the rest of the lineup. If you really want to get down there, I think Daniel Jones can be sneaky.
I'd go Andy Dalton.
Yeah, so there's some cheap plays that I don't really feel comfortable paying up for Allen or Daniels.
Yeah, I agree. So which one should we go with? What are we thinking? Lauren, you got one that you love?
Let's do Dalton.
Quinten, are you okay with Dalton?
Let's do it.
I struggle with that Detroit Minnesota game being the game we want to pin to.
That's fair.
I think if we go Dalton, and let's assume that Deontay Johnson is not playing and go Legette. If we do that, I think we're going to be able to actually, sorry, Lauren, pay up for some of the wide receivers in that other game that you don't like.
We
So
get to pick then.
now we have Andy Dalton and Legette, and we're making that assumption that Johnson isn't playing, right?
Yeah, and that's already some pretty
Yes.
good savings.
Yeah. So now we're sitting at it's still 6,200 average because we did pay up for Kyron Williams and Brock Bowers, but we're getting there. What are some other options, especially less expensive? Now we have the decisions, do you want to pay for Saquon Barkley? So at 9,000, do we think that Saquon Barkley can run up 45 points against the Giants?
So personally, I kind of like the cheaper option of Tony Pollard. He's only at 7,100. And Buffalo, you have been able to run against them. I think the offensive coordinator in Tennessee is tired of watching Will Levis throw interceptions. So he might just give every single carry to Pollard.
What do you
Let's
think
look at-
about Walker?
I think I like just the receiving options in that game. They both have been very pass happy teams of Seattle and the Falcons. I do like, I will say on comparing the two sites, the Falcons wide receivers are a good bump cheaper on FanDuel than they are on DraftKings.
Do we want to look at them? I don't like that game. I get burned by the Falcons too much. Let's see.
I kind of like
What we
Kyle
got?
Pitts, but I like Bowers a lot better for this lineup. So maybe
Yeah.
we just skip it. The other couple names, do we think Neighbors is playing? I like his workload.
I forgot to mention that when we reviewed our lineup. We thought he was playing last week and put him in there, and I had to go back when he got ruled out because he's been out. He's missed 2 weeks now with his concussion.
Mhm.
So it's been 3 weeks since his concussion. So I would expect Neighbors to play.
What about Watson? Christian Watson on Green Bay.
I do like Watson. I wonder
I
if
like
this is going
Watson.
to work.
Do you think we can stick them both on here? What's Watson?
I think so. And then we might even have enough money,
He's cheap.
depending on defense, to get one of the star receivers.
It doesn't look like it. We're down to 9,900.
Okay.
And we
How
need
many-
a flex and a defense.
A flex in defense.
Let's go to defense. Let's see if we got somebody cheap in here. Let's go to the bottom. We're not playing the Panthers. We're not playing the Titans. You could play the Giants.
I don't mind the Giants defense.
I don't mind
Or-
them either.
I also kind of like the Raiders defense. That is going to be a all but name home game. Every time that the Raiders play in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
it's all black and silver. And the Raiders have not the Raiders, the Rams have no offensive line.
You don't just think it's a dumpster sale for the Raiders?
Not on the defense. I think the defense still has something to prove. And Antonio Pierce is a more defensive coach.
All right. I'll play them. I like
All
the
right.
Giants better, I think, but we'll go Raiders. Now we've got a flex. What do we got left? 6,600 for a flex. And since we're on FanDuel, we probably would prefer a running back.
So
I
I
love
feel like Eckler
You like him
and,
either way?
Jameson are the two names that stand out to me. I think I would lean Eckler if I knew Brian Robinson was out. And then it's kind of
Yeah.
a toss up if they're both in. What are y'all thoughts?
I agree. I also like Mostert down here. If Robinson's gone.
Then let's go Eckler and kind of keep an eye out through the weekend. This would be one of those situations where your lineup's not finished right after you submit it. Always want to be making sure the morning of checking
It
in.
could be. It also, I don't mind playing Eckler even if Robinson's in, because even if he's in, if they're really ahead and he is coming off of an injury, they may play Eckler more.
That's true.
Okay.
So it's our final lineup.
So, yeah. Dalton, quarterback. Kyron Williams for our running back, Tony Pollard for our running back, Xavier Legette for our wide receiver, Malik Neighbors for our wide receiver. That's one of the ones that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Christian Watson, wide receiver, Brock Bowers, tight end, and then Austin Eckler in our flex spot. Another one we got to keep an eye on, and Las Vegas Raiders for our defense. I think the Raiders defense has me the most worried here.
And then I think what worries me is that Amon-Ra St. Brown or Justin Jefferson put up one of those 200-yard games.
Yeah, I think with this lineup, we have decided that that's not going to happen, that game is just kind of a standoff, and both teams are really good defensively, which definitely could happen.
Absolutely.
And then we've got a good mix here. Yeah, I'm worried with you too about that Raiders defense. I kind of like the Giants better, but I can make a case for both of them. We'll go with this one. We'll review the Giants next week and see if the Giants would have been a different call. So we're going to enter it.
Sounds good. That can be our side bet that we review next week.
Well, I now have ideas, especially since there were some areas that I disagreed with y'all. So I'm excited to go set my own lineups. We hope we've sparked some ideas for our listeners too, and that will help them prepare for their own lineups and join our free contest, which the links are in the description below. We'd love to have everyone play with us this weekend. And thanks again, Quinten, for joining us. It's fun to have you back.
Absolutely. Excited for week 7.